This is Retirement Keys with Anthony Congemi from Crescent City Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Anthony provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Retirement Keys with your host, Anthony Congemi.
All right, well, hello and welcome back to another show of Retirement Keys. My name's Anthony Congemi with Crescent City Retirement Group. We have our fabulous co-host with us today, Tony Shore. So we're so happy to have you here, Tony. And we're really looking forward to a great show today. So we're so happy that you have joined us. The name of the show is Retirement and Financial Steps at Important Ages. So I think this is going to be a great show. Tony, thank you so much for being here. And we look forward to getting this show going.
Well, yeah, and there are some key ages where you really want to make sure that you've got a plan in place and you're doing the right things. And so I am looking forward to this show. I know you've got some great information for us today. But first, I've had a great week, Anthony. It's been going really well. How about for you? Now, you've been busy.
Yeah, we have. But you know something, Tony? Just this past weekend, actually, show airs on Sunday. It was actually last weekend. I took my 14-year-old Daniel. We went to Phoenix, Arizona, and we saw the Los Angeles Dodgers come in and play the Arizona Diamondbacks. And this was this was one of my first times really seeing a professional major league, being in the thick of, in the crowd.
Wow.
And it was fun, man. It was a good time. And I tell you, the Dodgers fans, I want to say there was more Dodgers fans in Arizona than there was Arizona.
Well,
I mean, it was
probably the Dodgers have been around a long time and they've got quite a fan base, and Arizona isn't exactly known for, being the number one baseball team out there. But yeah, that's great. I think that's amazing.
It was a blast. And it was just him and I. It was the first time we'd done that, just kind of travel together. And
well, that's neat.
Yeah, it was good to do. And I feel like, just having that time together, just him and I. And then, of course, he's a big baseball fan. He's the one that's, got me into baseball. Of course, as you know, in our town, in New Orleans or in Louisiana, we don't have a major league a baseball team.
Right.
But I was just shocked to see just the stadium. I mean, it's like as big as the Superdome, and I mean, it was beautiful, and then the fan base, and it was really just a neat experience.
Well, that sounds great, and that's a lot of fun, and he's a great kid, too, so I'm glad you got to do that. That's a great father-son adventure, and that's something that you want to be doing while you still can, and
right.
Before you retire, and, of course, then again afterwards. By the time you retire, maybe you'll be doing it with the grandkids, too, so...
maybe so.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing, and I was actually talking to a client of mine earlier today, and his they're big into baseball as well. And he was telling me, but I mean, it could be anything. I mean, it could be fishing, right? It could be, anything that you enjoy doing, but, getting together with the grandkids, grandkids, but sometimes just getting them on by themselves, where it's just so much more of a bonding going on. I tell you, than having the whole bunch of them all at one time,
Yeah. Well, and I think that's great. I know you've been out fishing with the boys, too. I think that's fantastic. Now, you've been a busy guy, and I'm glad you got a chance to get away with your son. That's neat. And, it sounds like you've got a great show lined up for us. I mean, obviously, there are important ages in our lives, and we're going to talk about a couple of them today, right?
Yeah, Tony, absolutely. Our lives are filled with plenty of magic numbers. When we turn 16, we can get a driver's license. When I turned 15, actually, I got my driver's license.
Wow.
But now it's 16. But when we turn 16, get a driver's license. And when we turn 21, we can go out for our first drink. Well, but my day, it was 18.
Yeah,
now it's
me
21.
too.
Thank God it's 18. It's 21.
Yeah. 18
Even that's
was
probably
too young. Yeah, even 21's too young. Yeah.
probably too young. Yeah. And then when we turn 65, we can qualify for Medicare. But to me, 50 is another magic number that deserves far more attention than it usually gets. On an emotional level, turning 50 means you've hit the half century mark. Which when you really think about it, it's pretty amazing. It's a pretty amazing thing. But just as important as 50 is a perfect moment to take a breath and reassess your current financial position and how well it's preparing you for the kind of retirement you want. Your financial services professionals believe 50 is a financially critical year because it's your pre-retirement strategy and savings efforts. Just really kind of taking an assessment, Tony, if you will, on where you're at. So, but in any time frame here, and I start thinking about times, I know 62 can be 59 and a half can be a magic age, 62, 65, full retirement at Social Security, 66 or whatever it might be, 70 for maximizing. I mean, there's a lot of these age thresholds, right? So this is going to be a great show, Tony, and I hope our listeners can tune in and really take note here because be a lot of good information.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad we're talking about 50. I'm interested in the notion that if you reach 50 and you aren't quite where you want to be financially, there's still time to recover. When it comes to our finances, I can feel, sometimes I think you feel like if you miss a certain benchmark, all is lost. But as we're going to learn today, it's not necessarily the case, is it?
No, it's not, Tony. A recent AARP article that was titled 10 Retirement Planning Mistakes People Make at 50 has some really great perspective that I think we can use to fuel our conversation today. Tony, the article first emphasizes that it may be wise to plan to stop working before the typical retirement age of roughly 65, whether by choice or by necessity. A survey from the Employee Benefit Research Institute notes that 48% of people retire before they'd intended because of either layoffs or health concerns or family needs. The stark reality is that when you get knocked for a loop by the loss of a job, let's say in your 60s, it may be difficult to find a new one, especially one with the same salary and benefits package. Accordingly, when building your retirement strategy, it's imperative to consider the possibility of leaving your career earlier than what you might have hoped.
Right, and that's definitely a hope for the best, but plan for the worst kind of thing. And, obviously, if you have a jobless contingency built into that retirement plan, which I know you can help folks do, then if you never need that money that you set aside for that contingency, I'm sure that you can help people out there utilize it in a different way.
That's exactly right, Tony. Another thing to be aware of when you turn 50 is make sure your finances are balanced between risk and safe and not taking on too much risk. Many people turn 50 and discover they're running behind when it comes to their retirement savings and then possibly could put their assets at too much risk because they feel like they have to play catch up, But on the flip side, too much caution can also have a negative effect on your future lifestyle. So you mentioned working with a financial services professional a moment ago, Tony, and adequately balancing your assets and your strategy is a reason to build a solid and lasting relationship with your own financial pro. The whole balance, Tony, and we talk about red money and green money, safe money and risk money. But there really is something to that. I mean, having the appropriate balance and making sure that you're not taking on too much risk, but then making sure that you're not too conservative where you don't have the growth potential. So there's a sweet spot there, a balancing that really needs to take place, Tony.
Well, I think the desire to catch up financially once you discover you're running a little behind in your retirement goals can probably lead to some overly emotional decisions, and you don't want to make emotional decisions with your finances, right?
Absolutely not, Tony. I think that's a very good point. And to that end, 50 plus catch-up provisions may be the most sensible answer for people who are a little short of where they want to be. For example, in 2021, folks who are 50 and older can kick in an additional $1,000 to their IRA on top of their standard $6,000 limit. Self-employed people who are 50 or older that have a simple IRA can throw in another $3,000 above the 13.5 limit, so that's $16,500. And if you have a 401k through your employer, you can contribute an additional $6,500 beyond the $19,500 limit. And finally, if you're still working, you can open a Roth IRA, which currently has a contribution limit of $7,000 a year for those 50 and older. So you've got those choices, Tony, to put aside these pre-tax dollars, save money on current taxes, and really grow that money tax deferred for retirement.
Yeah, and I think that makes perfect sense. And it's clear that catch-up provisions can be a powerful tool and a lifeline for a lot of people out there then. Now, my next question is this. What can you tell us about how debt is going to factor into a retirement strategy once a person turns 50?
Well, that's a great question, Tony, and it's probably no great surprise to today's listeners that if you turn 50 and are burdened by a significant amount of debt, it's time to shed it as quickly as possible. Once you hit that half-century mark, you should work to be debt-free other than your mortgage. Once all of your debts are paid off, you can then shift focus to paying off your mortgage before you retire. Obviously, heading into retirement without debt is going to be open up many exciting possibilities when it comes to your retirement lifestyle. So really shedding that debt, Tony, and getting that behind us. And, we've got some excellent, for those folks out here that want to pay off debt in the most tax efficient way, we've got some great debt calculators that we can structure to really getting that debt paid off. So that's really, kind of that's a great place to incorporate into your overall retirement plan. If, let's say, you're a year away, 5 years away, or 10 years away, having that debt reduction strategy built in to the contribution strategy in your retirement plan and seeing how all that meshes together to really formulate this retirement that we're looking for, Tony. So it's all part of it.
Yeah. Well, and having no debt might make those retirement dreams a little more realistic, like 2 weeks in Paris each spring. A lot of people would like to do that, so you want to get rid of that debt. Do you have anything else for us before we go to a quick break here, Anthony?
Well, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're getting some, good information about your retirement. We really want to be a great partner for you. We'd love you to visit our website at crescentcityretirement.com or come to one of our retirement workshops we hold monthly. But I do have a special offer. If you don't have a formal retirement plan, or you'd like to just simply make a comparison, just look at a full retirement plan, or at least the plans that we put together here at Crescent City Retirement Group, please take advantage of this special offer.
You've been listening to our shows and advice on getting your finances in order and creating a retirement income plan that will last. Now is the time to take advantage of our special offer. This is Anthony Kangemi of Crescent City Retirement Group, and we're now offering a complimentary gourmet dinner and retirement planning workshop, The 5 Keys to a Stress-Free Retirement. This is one workshop you won't want to miss. Call in the next 20 minutes for this no-cost offer. Seating is limited. Call Crescent City Retirement Group within the next 20 minutes at 504-828-2171. That number again is 504-828-2171.
And welcome back to Retirement Keys with our host, Anthony Congemi. I'm your co-host, Tony Shore. And Anthony, great show today. You've been talking about some of the retirement strategy steps that people might want to take once they turn 50, and it's been a good one so far. What do you have for us next?
Well, Tony, the next piece of advice from this AARP article we mentioned, the 10 retirement planning mistakes people make at 50, is to be very cautious about taking on college debt. As the article notes, it's very common for parents in their 50s to shoulder far too much of their children's college debt before they didn't stock enough money away in the 529 account when their children were younger. Parents in this position may rely on home equity loans or credit sources to cover the cost of college for their kids. However, this strategy may well leave them with a pile of debt that can't be paid off before they hit their personal retirement age. Of course, there's really no easy answer for folks in this position because the drive to take care of our children is deeply ingrained. Our potential solution is to have your kids take out loans in their own names and then help them pay the monthly payments. So, a lot of times too, Tony, even some college planning and there's options out there a lot of times that you're just not aware of. And so we want to make sure that if you're in that situation and you're paying for maybe a child's college or going to have to pay coming up in the future, by all means, give our office a call because there's college planning techniques that are really, off the charts. And if you're not aware, and it depends on your situation, that's why, it's not a blanket fix all, but it's certainly got a lot of options out there that a lot of times people just aren't aware of.
All right. Well, yeah, that's true. There are a lot of things, and I know that you're more than willing to sit down with our listeners and talk to them about that. And helping your kids cover the cost of college can be really stressful. Trust me, I know this one. I have one that just finished college and one that's just entering college this fall. So I think this is an area where people do need to work closely with a financial services professional like yourself. I mean, there's no reason to try to figure all this out by yourself when people like yourself are out there and willing to help.
That's right, Tony. I completely agree. And, on that note, Tony, when you turn 50, it's important really to double check your current health care. This is another part of the article that they really stressed is healthcare strategy. And I'm not talking about your various insurance products, which we'll get to in a few moments. I'm talking really about your personal choices you make, eating habits, exercising habits. Once you turn 50, you still have to take time to take care of yourself. Maybe there is some behavior changes that need to be made. Swapping lunchtime double cheeseburgers for a fresh salad, or replace Tony, we're all guilty of that. I'm the pot calling the kettle black here.
I thought you were calling me out there.
No, but I will say, I'm 53. I'll be 54 in December. And, let's face it, as we get older, our bodies, we need to be more considerate to our bodies, what we eat, our exercise routine, our sleep patterns, how much water we're drinking, all of that. And so I think it's important because, at the end of the day, and I know it's a cliche, but we always talk about our wealth and our finances on this show, but we need our health as well to be able to enjoy our retirement. So our health is very important. And, again, I'm not somebody here, some health guru by any stretch of the imagination, but we are talking about the article that AARP so rightly points out that health planning and taking care of your health is a big factor. And I agree with that. I need to I need to do more of that myself. And so I plan on that. But I think it is a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And obviously, healthcare is huge. And, I think people think that, eating better and exercising is all about physical health, when in reality, eating better and exercising not only can make you feel better, it could end up saving you a lot of money in the long run and making for a better retirement.
You're exactly right, Tony. And not to mention health insurance products at the moment ago. So let's look at those now. If you're healthy at 50, it can be easily to presume that you'll also be fit as a fiddle when you turn 60. But you know that they say about the best laid plans of mice and men. The truth is none of us knows what's waiting for us as it relates to health just a few years down the road, especially after age 50. So we really don't know. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, but there are things that we can do, making those healthy choices that really can go a long way in terms of us being healthier in retirement, enjoying our retirement more. I mean, let's face it, we've all been on vacations and we've all been out and about, and we see people that maybe are, really overweight and they're in wheelchairs and God bless them, and maybe it wasn't, their doing, maybe it was some other issues they may have had going on. But let's face it, I mean, they can't be enjoying themselves like they could have been if they were, more spry, right? And been able to walk and get around on their own. And so, at the end of the day, we just have to be a little bit more conscious of that, I think, all of us, me included for sure. And I know we do have some listeners out here that are very conscious of their health and fitness. And we just, bravo, congratulations to you. And it's going to make for a better retirement.
Yeah, that it sure is. I would agree with that. And it's so important. Now, insurance is another thing you said we're going to talk about today. So when it comes to insurance products, what should 50-year-olds out there be considering?
Well, health insurance is really a product for someone who's turned 50. In my opinion, long-term care insurance, Tony, is a biggie.
That is, biggie.
It is. Many retirees end up needing some type of long-term care services during their retirement. And as you likely already know, long-term care is very expensive. In fact, it's expensive enough that it can eat through your entire savings, Tony.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there are insurance products, long-term care products can offer a degree of protection. But as you age and your health issues emerge, it can be more difficult to purchase long-term care insurance at the price that fits neatly into your budget. However, you purchase long-term care insurance when you're 50 and healthy, you'll have removed one of the biggest retirement traps out there, and that is the price that may not that may harm your lifestyle, Tony. Long-term care is one of those things, Tony, that none of us want to think about. But I'll tell you, in this day and age, when you hear the term long-term care, right away people think of the nursing home. And that's not really, 100% accurate, right? A nursing home is certainly a long-term care environment, but a lot of people that need care are receiving care in their own home, Tony. They can have these activities of daily living, the feeding, dressing, bathing, and all of this. They can have that done in the home. Now they can widen doors and build ramps and do all kinds of modifications to the home that weren't available years ago. There's these beautiful assisted living facilities, and I have
some of them are amazing.
Oh my goodness! I was in one the other day visiting a client. I mean, I was, if there was a room next door, I would, I could see myself in there. I mean, it's like, they're like on vacation. I mean, it's beautiful. They have these magnificent chefs. They've got magnificent entertainment. I mean, if you have a long-term care strategy, and don't think you have to pay 100% of it with your long-term care strategy, because you've got Social Security and you've got some other base income coming in anyway. So it doesn't have to be covered, at 100% with your long-term care plan. But if a base of it's covered from the plan and the other base is covered from some other structured income you might have, I mean, you could be in a really nice place and not go through your savings. So, long-term care planning, whether it be at home or in an assisted living facility or a nursing home or whatever it might be, but you just don't want to deplete all your assets paying for long-term care when and if this could be a potential situation. So it's just part of retirement planning, Tony.
We're almost out of time for today's show, Anthony. It just flew by. Is there anything else you want to add for our listeners before we have to go today?
If you don't have a formal plan, a written plan in place, or you'd like to just simply get a second opinion, by all means, give our office a call at 504-828-2171, 504-828-2171. Let the ladies in the office know that you heard Tony and I on the show today and you'd like to make an appointment. We can do a phone appointment. We can do a Zoom appointment. We can do an in-person appointment. But give our office a call so we can make sure we get that plan to you.
All right. Sounds great, Anthony. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of Retirement Keys with our host, Anthony Congemi. Thank you for listening to Retirement Keys. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, please contact Anthony Congemi at Crescent City Retirement Group. Call 504-828-2171 or visit the website at crescentcityretirement.com. All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. Anthony Congemi and Crescent City Retirement Group are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.